Now, while I do believe the Raiders have a stronger defensive line than Chicago, the Bears still have some impressive players. Gervon Dexter is shaping up to be a solid defensive tackle, Montez Sweat is a proven talent, and Austin Booker is an exciting prospect. Not many know about him, but Booker, a rookie last season, is an elite pass rusher with some incredible moves. He reminds me of Max Crosby in how dynamic he can be. Coming out of Kansas as a late-round pick, Booker is definitely one to watch. Despite this, the Raiders couldn't secure Johnson, and now he's heading to Chicago. What makes the Bears' situation unique is that they already have a general manager in place, which wasn't the case for the Raiders. It was widely speculated that for Ben Johnson to consider Las Vegas, the team would have needed to fire their current GM, Tom Telesco. However, letting Telesco go doesn't seem like the right move at this time. Over the past 15 years, the Raiders have gone through multiple general managers. First, there was Reggie McKenzie, who had a decent run but struggled with draft success. Players like Carl Joseph and Garyon Conley were first-round picks that didn't live up to expectations. After McKenzie, the Raiders entered the John Gruden and Mike Mayock era, followed by Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels, and now the current Tom Telesco era. To be fair, McKenzie did manage one exceptional draft in 2014, but inconsistency has plagued the team's front office for years. Back in 2014, the Raiders struck gold by landing both Khalil Mack and Derek Carr in the same draft. But you could argue that Tom Telesco's first draft as general manager was just as impressive, if not better. Considering the last 15 years of Raiders drafts, Telesco might have delivered one of the team's best classes in his very first year. So, the idea of firing Telesco at this point doesn't seem to make much sense. Meanwhile, the Chicago Bears have locked in Ben Johnson as their head coach, pairing him with a strong general manager, Ryan Poles. Poles, who joined the Bears in 2021, has done a remarkable job rebuilding the team. Starting with a complete overhaul, the Bears found their quarterback in the 2024 NFL Draft and revamped their roster into a much more competitive team. Now, with Johnson at the helm, they finally have the coach to bring everything together. It's a perfect fit. We've got some major breaking news. The Chicago Bears have officially hired Ben Johnson as their new head coach. Unfortunately for the Las Vegas Raiders, this is a huge blow. In my opinion, Ben Johnson is not just the best coaching candidate this cycle, he has the potential to become one of the next great head coaches in the league. Let's be honest, this one really stings for Raiders fans. Ben Johnson could have been the guy to turn the Raiders into a winning team. Now, they'll need to shift gears and start searching for another candidate. Later in this video, I'll talk about some potential replacements for the Raiders. But first, let's break down what this news means for the team. Over the past week, there had been rumors that Ben Johnson was seriously considering the Raiders. Insiders and even national media sources reported that he had taken an interview with the team. A big step, considering he might not have done so before. Some even suggested he was leaning toward Las Vegas as his next destination. If I'm not mistaken, Albert Breer or another prominent reporter had put this out there. But now, it's official. Ben Johnson is heading to Chicago. There had been a lot of buzz from Raiders insiders, many of whom were confidently predicting that Ben Johnson would be the Raiders' next head coach. But then, Adam Schefter threw some doubt into the mix, suggesting Johnson wasn't fully committed to the idea. And Schefter was absolutely right. Just 2 days after the Detroit Lions lost to the Washington Commanders, Ben Johnson accepted the head coaching job with the Chicago Bears. This decision makes a lot of sense for Johnson. The Bears already have a promising quarterback, a solid offensive line, and some strong weapons on offense. In today's NFL, having a good quarterback is crucial to a team's success, and the Bears seem to have found their guy, a young quarterback heading into his second year, who some are even calling a generational talent. But a quarterback can only thrive with the right support system. No matter how talented a player is, they need a great offensive coordinator and a strong play caller. I genuinely believe that even someone like Patrick Mahomes would struggle if he had to work with an underwhelming coordinator like Luke Getsy. For quarterbacks to succeed, they need the right leadership, and Ben Johnson is set to bring that as the Bears' new head coach. Ben Johnson will also serve as the play caller for the Chicago Bears, and honestly, this is a fantastic move for them. No matter how you view it, it's a big win for Chicago. I had hoped the Raiders could sell Johnson on the potential of their young defensive talent under contract, which might have given them an edge over the Bears. However, some insiders had suggested that starting fresh with a new general manager was the right path for the Raiders. I don't see it that way. With Telesco's recent success in the draft, why take the risk of replacing him? The real question is whether the Raiders can find someone as capable as Telesco, or if they'll end up with another GM like Dave Ziegler, who struggled with talent evaluation, especially on the defensive line. Let's not forget Ziegler's controversial decisions, like drafting Tyree Wilson over Jalen Carter or picking Byron Young, who's no longer with the team, over several more promising defensive tackles. Those missteps set the Raiders back, and it's a gamble to assume a new GM would do any better than Telesco has already proven he can. The Raiders' decision to draft Byron Young in the 3rd round last year remains a head-scratcher. His college tape didn't show much promise, and it's no surprise he was released after just 1 season. Meanwhile, players like Kobe Turner and Devin Akane, who were picked after him, have already shown they can contribute. This misstep highlights the importance of finding a general manager who can accurately evaluate talent moving forward. The next step for the Raiders is critical: hiring the right general manager and head coach. The new GM needs to be someone with a sharp eye for talent and the connections to make bold moves, like trading up in the draft or acquiring a quarterback with real potential. At the same time, the team has to decide who will lead them on the field. One intriguing candidate is Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Cohen has been a rising star, showing impressive success with the Buccaneers' offense. Many believe he has the potential to be a strong head coach in the NFL. Another option could be Cliff Kingsbury. Kingsbury's work with Jaden Daniels has been phenomenal, and his offensive systems have proven effective in the past. It's hard not to think about what could have been if the Raiders had hired Kingsbury earlier. If he had been the offensive coordinator this past season, it's likely the team would have performed much better. Whether it was Garoppolo, Aiden O'Connell, or another quarterback running his system, Kingsbury's expertise could have transformed the offense and made this season a lot more successful for the Raiders. A strong play caller can make all the difference in the NFL. If the Raiders had better leadership on offense, there's no doubt they would have won more games this past season. I've been critical of Luke Getsy since the beginning, and unfortunately, my concerns were proven right. Getsy's poor performance as an offensive coordinator not only doomed the offense, but also contributed to Antonio Pierce losing his job as head coach. It highlights just how crucial it is to hire the right person for these key positions. As the Raiders move forward, they need to make smart decisions. Whether it's Liam Cohen or Cliff Kingsbury as the head coach, the organization must also focus on finding a strong defensive coordinator to create a balanced coaching staff. Interestingly, rumors suggest that Pete Carroll could be an option for the Raiders. Carroll, a defensive-minded coach, would bring a wealth of experience. If the Raiders go down that route, they'll need to pair him with a sharp offensive coordinator to make it work. The stakes are high, and the next hires will shape the team's future. This is a critical moment for the Raiders to get it right. The Raiders have several coaching options to consider, but the key is choosing someone with a proven track record. If they go with Pete Carroll, Shane Waldron is a name to watch. Waldron worked under Carroll for 3 years before Carroll left his previous role. While some might call Carroll's departure a promotion, it was essentially a firing. However, Carroll seems eager to return to coaching and could bring his defensive expertise to the Raiders. On the offensive side, candidates like Liam Cohen and Cliff Kingsbury stand out. Kingsbury, despite his first head coaching stint not being entirely successful, consistently fielded strong offenses. A coach with offensive play-calling prowess gives any team a fighting chance, especially if paired with the right defensive coordinator. Another intriguing option is Kellen Moore, currently the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. However, there's speculation Moore could be heading to the Dallas Cowboys, so that's a situation to watch. Mike McCarthy is another strong candidate. While his recent years with the Cowboys have been up and down, McCarthy has a history of success in running NFL offenses. He's the kind of coach who can maximize a quarterback's potential. That said, I personally don't think Dak Prescott is a top-tier quarterback, which has likely limited McCarthy's impact. Ultimately, the Raiders' choice must focus on building a balanced coaching staff capable of turning the team into a consistent contender. The decision they make here will shape their future success. I think Mike McCarthy has helped elevate Dak Prescott's game, making him appear better than he really is. Prescott is decent if he's earning $20 million a year, but at $60 million, he's not worth it. That said, the Raiders need to focus on their next steps. Losing Ben Johnson to the Chicago Bears is disappointing, but it's time to shift focus and figure things out. The team needs to find the right head coach, general manager, and coordinators to build a cohesive and competitive staff. The firing of Tom Telesco remains a puzzling decision. It's questionable at best, but Mark Davis has decided to place his trust in Tom Brady. The big question now is whether Brady can build a winning organization for the Raiders. Can he live up to the expectations and create the success fans are hoping for? I'll continue to critique moves I don't agree with, and the firing of Tom Telesco is definitely one of them. But we'll have to wait and see if the next hire proves to be the right decision. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.